Okay, so have you seen that YouTube video called The Single Most Powerful Element to Achieve Success?
Hmm. I don't think so. What's it about?
Well, it's this talk by Florencia Andres.
Oh, yeah, I think I've heard of her. Didn't she write a couple of books?
Yeah, a few bestsellers. And she works with athletes.
Oh, right. And wasn't she on Mind Valley, too?
Yeah, she had a really popular program there. But anyway, this video is all about confidence, which I thought we could deep dive into today.
Sounds interesting. I'm in.
Have you ever, like, felt that your inner spark kind of dimmed, especially when things get tough?
Oh, totally. Happens to all of us, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, what's really cool is that Andrea starts her talk with these, like, super simple questions. She's like, where are you? What time is it? Who are you?
Huh. I guess I never really thought about those questions like that.
Right. It made me stop and think, too, like, am I even really here right now?
I see what she's doing. Like, she's trying to disrupt our autopilot and make us more self-aware.
Exactly. And then she goes on to talk about babies.
Babies.
Yeah. She's like, babies are these naturally confident beings. They're constantly exploring, trying new things, falling down, getting up again. No fear of failure.
That's true.
It's so pure. I love that visual of a baby learning to walk. Like their parents are cheering them on and they just keep going. Pure, unadulterated confidence.
Hmm. So what happens to that confidence as we grow up?
Well, Andres argues that it starts to erode,
Yeah.
as we enter formal education.
Yeah. Like all that red ink on papers and people criticizing our ability.
Exactly. And those messages, even if they seem small, they can have a big effect over time.
Like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Ouch, yeah.
And even if we had a good experience in school, life throws us curveballs, right?
Oh, for sure. Like, what about a career setback
Yeah.
or a relationship ending? Even just dealing with stress every day takes a toll.
It all adds up.
Definitely.
And that's when the negative self-talk can really start to creep in.
Oh, yeah. That inner critic.
Andres calls it the broken record in our heads.
Ooh, that's a good analogy.
She shares the story about a top athlete she was coaching. He was super talented, but going through a major slump.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he had this crucial Queen's Cup final coming up, and he was convinced he was going to lose.
He had lost his mojo.
Basically, his broken record was telling him, my magic is gone.
Oof. I feel that. What about you? What's your broken record saying right now?
Good question.
So what happened with the athlete? Did he just, like, power through it?
Well, he needed a new strategy. Andres had him replace the negative self-talk with a simple affirmation.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
I believe in me. She had him repeat it constantly, almost like a mantra.
Interesting. I could see where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
Did he end up winning the game?
He did.
No way.
And he scores the winning goal with just seconds left on the clock. And then he shows his hand to the camera, and written on it is Creo and me.
Wait, what does that mean?
Spanish for I believe in me. It was almost faded, but clearly not from his heart.
Wow. Chills. So we can actually reprogram our thinking.
That's what Andres is saying. It takes effort to replace those negative thought patterns, but it's possible.
So it's not just about individual success, though.
Right. She makes this really interesting connection between self-belief and our relationships.
Okay, I'm listening. How does that work?
She says that the foundation of all our relationships with family, friends, partners is the relationship we have with ourselves.
That makes sense.
If we're running on empty, full of self-doubt, how can we truly show up for others?
Right. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. She's like, how can we be good parents or partners or leaders if we aren't taking care of ourselves?
That's a good point.
And she even talks about this study about NBA teams.
NBA teams.
Yeah.
What does basketball have to do with confidence?
Well, researchers wanted to understand what made championship teams different.
Ah, I see. So were they looking at talent? Or like coaching styles?
Well, they analyzed all the teams' interactions
Right.
from preseason all the way through playoffs.
Okay.
What they found was kind of surprising. The teams that won the championship had way more high fives and fist bumps and stuff during the preseason.
Wait, really? Just high fives?
Yeah. It sounds strange, but it makes sense when you think about it.
Okay. Yeah, I guess those little gestures can build camaraderie and boost confidence.
Exactly. It creates a more cohesive and successful team environment.
So how do we apply this beyond the basketball court?
It's about recognizing that creating a positive and supportive environment is key for any kind of success,
Okay.
like in families or workplaces. It's about fostering those connections, the small acts of encouragement that build each other up.
Yeah, I get it.
It's like Andres says about supporting a child who's struggling with math. She says focus on their self-worth instead of just the grades.
So instead of saying you're bad at math, you say you're capable and we'll figure this out together.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about shifting the focus. And speaking of powerful phrases, Andres talks about the impact of saying, I believe in you.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
She has the audience do this visualization where they recall someone who believed in them during a tough time.
What do you think?
You know, someone who really saw your potential even when you maybe doubted yourself.
Yeah, actually, that just brought up a really vivid memory. That's powerful stuff.
It really is. And it reminds me of this quote by Apollinaire, come to the edge, and he pushed them and they flew.
Wow. I like that.
It's about those people who help us see our own potential. They give us the courage to take risks, to push our boundaries.
I love it. So we've got babies, athletes, NBA teams.
Right.
What other stories does Andres tell?
Well, she flips the script and asks, what happens when the people around us don't offer that belief?
Oh, that's a good question.
And she shares a story about her dream of publishing a book with her mother.
Okay.
So they sign a contract, super excited, and then they meet with the editor.
Uh-oh. I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah. The editor is really skeptical. He talks about a small print run, no marketing budget, like you dimming down their dream right in front of them.
Ouch. That must have been so discouraging. What did they do?
Well, at first, Andrea says she felt totally deflated, like her dream was snatched away.
That's heartbreaking.
But then she has this realization. She's like, it's not the editor's job to believe in my dream. It's mine.
Oh, wow. That's powerful. It's about taking ownership.
Exactly. So they decide not to give up.
Good for them.
They go into overdrive with affirmations and visualizations.
Wow.
They even start calling bookstores themselves to arrange signings.
No way. That's dedication.
It might sound crazy, but it shows that all make it happen attitude.
So they're not just waiting for things to happen. They're making things happen.
Exactly. And guess what?
Don't leave me hanging.
The book becomes a bestseller, wins awards, leads to a speaking tour, and they even get the attention of Sony Music.
No way. That's incredible. They totally defy the odds. What did the editor say?
He called it beginner's luck.
Oh my gosh. Talk about missing the point.
Totally. It shows how other people's limited vision shouldn't define our potential.
I love that. So we've got babies, athletes, books.
Right.
And to top it all off, a pandemic.
You got it. Andres ends with a story about being asked to create a program for Mind Valley during the peak of the lockdown.
Oh, wow. Talk about pressure.
I know, right? And remember, she had just moved her family across continents, was homeschooling her kids, and her mom, who's her co-author, was stuck in Argentina.
Oh, yeah. It was chaos back then.
Yeah.
So how did she even consider taking on a new project?
Well, she felt super overwhelmed, like she wasn't sure she could do it.
I can imagine.
So she tells Vision Mind Valley's founder about her doubts.
Okay, and what does he say?
His response is amazing. He says, I have absolutely no doubt it will work and it will be a success.
Wow. That's not just a pep talk. That's a statement of belief.
Right. And it gives Andres and her mom the confidence they need to move forward.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, from babies to athletes to authors to pandemics. It's amazing how all these stories connect back to confidence.
It really is. It's a reminder that we all have that spark of confidence within us, even if it gets buried under self-doubt.
It's always there waiting to be reignited.
Exactly. And sometimes all it takes is a little shift in our thinking or a word of encouragement from someone we trust.
Or the courage to take action even when we're afraid.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've heard some pretty inspiring stories about people overcoming challenges and achieving success. But how do we actually apply all this to our own lives?
Right. That's the big question. I think the first step is remembering that confidence isn't something you either have or you don't.
Okay,
It's more like a muscle that you can strengthen with the right tools and mindset.
I like that. Confidence muscles. So how do we start building those muscles?
Well, Andres talks a lot about self-awareness. Remember those questions she asked at the beginning? Where are you? What time is it? Who are you?
Yeah.
Those are designed to make us more present,
Yeah.
to help us snap out of autopilot.
Yeah, it's like hitting the pause button on that constant stream of thoughts and just taking a moment to check in with ourselves.
Exactly. And once we do that, we can start to notice those negative thought patterns, those broken records that are holding us back.
Oh, yeah. I'm not good enough and I can't do this tapes. Those are my favorites.
We all have them. But the good news is we can change the record.
Oh,
Remember that athlete who replaced his negative self-talk with, I believe in me?
yeah.
It's about consciously choosing a different track for our thoughts.
I like that analogy. Like we're the DJ of our own minds.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be this huge, overwhelming change. Just start small.
Okay.
Choose one affirmation that resonates with you and repeat it throughout the day. Write it down, put it on your phone, make a conscious effort to shift your inner dialogue.
It's like rewiring our brains for positivity.
Yeah. And speaking of positive influences, Andres also talks about the importance of our support system.
Oh, yeah, our people.
Right. Think about that visualization where we recalled someone who believed in us. What qualities did that person have? Did they offer encouragement or guide us? Were they genuinely invested in our success?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about my mentor from a few years ago. She really saw my potential even when I didn't. Just knowing that she believed in me gave me so much courage.
That's exactly it. Those people who help us see our own brilliance. They give us the fuel to grow our confidence.
So I guess that means we should also be mindful of the people who drain our energy, the ones who feed our self-doubt.
Absolutely. It's about creating a supportive environment for ourselves, both internally and externally. And sometimes that means setting boundaries with people who bring negativity into our lives.
That's true. It's like we're building our own personal board of directors, choosing people who empower us and believe in our vision.
I love that. Okay, but positive self-talk and a good support system aren't enough. Andres also reminds us that action is essential. Remember her book publishing story?
Oh, yeah. When the editor told them their book had no chance.
Exactly. But instead of giving up, they took ownership. They realized it wasn't his job to believe in their dream. It was theirs.
And then they took action.
Massive action. Calling bookstores, scheduling signings, promoting the book everywhere they could.
Like they were saying, okay, we'll show you.
Haha, right. It might sound unconventional, but it shows what can happen when we create our own opportunities.
It's about shifting from waiting for things to happen to making things happen.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be these big, sweeping actions. What's one small step you can take today towards a goal you've been putting off?
Ooh, good question. I've been wanting to launch that online course,
Yeah.
but I keep getting scared. Maybe today I could just outline the first module.
There you go. It's about building momentum, proving to ourselves that we are capable.
And it's okay to stumble along the way, right?
Of course. It's all part of the process. It's like that NBA study. Who would have thought that high fives could be linked to championship success?
Right. So weird.
But it makes sense. Those small gestures create a ripple effect. They build team spirit and create a culture of support.
It's like saying, hey, we're all in this together. Let's celebrate each other.
Exactly. And it applies to more than just sports teams. We can do this in our families, our workplaces, our friendships. How often do we genuinely acknowledge the efforts of those around us?
Yeah, that's a good point.
A simple thank you, a word of encouragement, a genuine compliment. Those little things can make a big difference.
It's about creating that positive feedback loop where we lift each other up.
Exactly. Speaking of lifting each other up, can we talk about Andres' story with Vision? You know, Mind Valley's founder.
Yeah. Being asked to create a program during the pandemic lockdown, that's a lot of pressure.
It was a tough situation for sure. And she had just moved, was homeschooling her kids, and her mom was stuck in another country.
It was a perfect storm for self-doubt.
Right. So she tells Vision about her doubts.
What did he say?
His response was so good. He said, I have absolutely no doubt it will work and it will be a success. It wasn't just a pep talk. It was a statement of belief in her ability.
Wow. Sometimes all we need is that one person who really believes in us. It's like they're holding up a mirror to our best selves.
Exactly. And it goes both ways. We can be that source of belief for others, too.
That's true.
Think about the people in your life who could use a boost. Who would benefit from knowing that you believe in them?
That's something to think about.
Confidence is contagious. The more we cultivate it and share it, the more it grows.
I love that. It's like we're creating a ripple effect of positivity and empowerment.
Exactly. So how do we make this sustainable? How do we make confidence a way of life, not just a fleeting feeling?
That's a great question. How do we make confidence a way of life? Not just a fleeting feeling, you know?
Well, I think Andres would say it starts with being intentional. Remember those questions she asked? Where are you? What time is it? Who are you?
Yeah. Simple, but kind of profound.
They're like invitations to be more self-aware.
It's like she's saying, wake up, pay attention, get to know yourself.
Exactly. And notice those thoughts and feelings without judgment. Like, what's that inner voice saying?
Is it being a jerk? Or is it being supportive?
Yeah. Are we focusing on our strengths or getting caught up in our weaknesses?
I've noticed that when I'm stressed, my inner critic goes into overdrive.
That's so normal. And that's where those affirmations can help.
Right. Like consciously replacing the negative thoughts with something better.
It's like training our minds to be more positive, to see the possibilities instead of getting stuck in the limitations.
I like that. It's like we're creating a new soundtrack for our minds, something more uplifting.
Exactly. And remember, our environment matters too.
Oh, yeah. Our people.
It's so important to be around people who believe in us, who encourage us to grow.
It's like we're creating this safe space
Yeah.
where we can take risks and try new things.
And sometimes that means creating some distance from the people who drain our energy or the ones who feed our self-doubt.
Yeah. Boundaries are important. We got to protect our space.
Speaking of taking action, Andres' book publishing story is a great example.
Oh, yeah. They didn't let that editor stop them.
Right. They took ownership and went into action mode.
It's a good reminder that we can create our own opportunities. We don't have to wait for permission.
So what's one small step you can take today towards a goal? What can you do to move closer to where you want to be?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's finally publishing that blog post I've been working on.
There you go. Just put it out there.
I will. No more second guessing.
And remember, it's okay to make mistakes along the way.
It's all about learning and growing
Yeah.
and celebrating the small wins.
Oh, yeah. Like high fives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That MBA study was so wild. But it makes sense when you think about it.
It's about recognizing effort and building each other up.
It's not just for sports teams, though, right?
Yeah.
We can apply this to every part of our lives.
Totally. How can we be more intentional about celebrating the people around us?
Yeah. Maybe a simple thank you or a genuine compliment.
Or even a high five. It's about creating that positive feedback loop where we all rise together.
It's like we're all connected, and those small acts of kindness can make a big difference.
And speaking of connection, remember Andres' story about vision?
Yeah. When she was doubting herself, he just said, I believe in you.
And that gave her the confidence to move forward. It's amazing how powerful those words can be.
It makes you wonder, who needs to hear that message from us? Who could use a reminder that we believe in them, that we see their potential?
That's a great question. And I think it's a beautiful note to end on. Confidence is contagious. The more we share it, the brighter our world becomes.
I love that.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into confidence, I want to leave you with a challenge.
Okay, I'm listening.
Reach out to someone today and tell them you believe in them. It could be a friend, a family member, a colleague, even a stranger. You never know the impact you might have.